to let this go. I dig screw caps.
Yeah.
You got them across the board.
That's one of the first things I did when I came to the winery.
I'm a big screw cap.
And it ties into Prisme actually. When we first made Prisme, I mean when we first made Prisme, there were only two Pinot Noir Blancs in North America that we knew, ours and Domaine Serene. So I was really excited. We did the first Prisme. I took it out to our distributors in Oregon. They were the very first ones to taste it. Brought one bottle down to show it to them. Here's Cork. And right then and there, I said, Kim, please.
So, for those who don't know, talk about why you went to screw caps. Besides that is. Is it because of fall?
There are a number of reasons. I think that if let's just say I just flew in, right? And let's say that 20% of the time you got into a plane, you knew it was going to crash. You wouldn't fly.
You think it's that high?
I would say that there's, let's just say 10% of the time you get in a plane.
No, because I was going to go much lower than that because I taste about 80 minutes a week. A lot of time.
It's a lot better than it used to be.
Maybe about, I'm serious, 20 Cork wines in my life.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty low.
I've gotten quite a few. It depends on, you get lots of corks. And we did a lot of cork evaluation. I mean, before we bottled anything in cork, I would spend kind of the same thing. We'd go through and we'd do these bales of corks and we'd put them in this alcohol solution, smell them, and find the bales that had the least amount of TCA, randomly selected. You'd spend hours, and then you'd end up with cork wines. And then, but the other thing that they don't talk about is cork variation, where you open up, like let's say you open up a case of wine. That'd be a really fun thing to do, obviously, for something like this, where you open up a case of wine, and you smell each one of them, and find out how many of them actually smell and taste alike. You're going to find you have a core of 3 or 4 of them that are very alike, and the rest of them are all over. And that's because cork is a natural product, and it has flaws in it, and it ages and oxidizes at different rates. Whereas this closure is very, very tried and true. I know what it's going to do, and that's what I want. I want you to know that if you hate the wine, it's my fault.
And I think you're working with wines that go well with screw caps, the whites, the Pinot Noirs.
I think, and if you look here, here's the other thing. I know I'm going to get really nerdy on you.
Go ahead.
If you look on the inside of this closure, it's white. And you look at a lot of Stelvin closures, and they're silver, and they're tin. This breathes. The tin doesn't breathe. So this allows the wine to age just like a really good cork. Whereas the tin is pretty much a sealed closure.
Why do you want the? Because this
oxygen ingress.
Yeah, and I know why Bordeaux and Cabernets with high tannins would want a slow leakage of air in them over time. But why would you want to run this? How?
Because I think what happens if you have a really tight closure, you'll often get that. What I think is one of the flaws of Stelvin is that you'll get that kind of reduction, that really almost like for whites it's a pencil eraser thing, like a hot pencil eraser, and for reds it's often just slightly smoky. And I want the wines to be, as you said earlier, they look clean and fresh. And I don't mind that they age. They should.
Is this done in any oak?
It is. It's about 25% new oak. And
I've never had this wine.
Oh, you've never had?
This is it. This is it for me.
So think white burgundy.
No, that's what came to mind. You got that slight oakness there.
No, full malolactic. It's fermented puncheon, so the barrels get twice as big as normal. Because I want barrel contact, but I want less surface area. So with a puncheon, I get barrel contact without a lot of oak. And I was just like, wow, I want a label without saying, because everybody talks about, you label, it's like, oh, look, this one was harvested by virgins.
Well, this is really
another one, it was a full moon and only our finest grapes were harvested.
Right.
It's just like, I want something that means something to the cereal box people like you, that you're like, oh, this is from blah, 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 and it has 18% new oak or whatever.
And you can the clones.
Yeah. For nerds.
Yeah.
So, for people that don't read it are not going to read it. For people that care, I mean, I just have to get away from the virgins.
And let's just, one of the reasons I gave it right here, collection of wines, whatever you call it, is I think it's decent right off the bat if I didn't know the price point. another price point. It's outstanding at the price point. You guys didn't get carried away with yourselves.
Well, we sat down when there are four of us that are essentially our, that we kind of run the winery, and you have equal say. Kim, who I mentioned earlier, is marketing, and Jason's the vineyard manager. He's the one without the parasol. Tim is our accounts guy, and then there's me making the wine. And we sat down and we're like, none of us are wealthy. We just enjoy what we do. We have freedom from handling great wines. We like, look, let's not get carried away and get into this thing where the wines constantly get more expensive. Let's keep it accessible, and let's make really beautiful wines and enjoy the lifestyle of making wine. It's a great deal.
And that's a great feeling when you get into it for the wine itself.
We're lucky we don't have a whole lot of mouths to feed. Otherwise, we change the whole philosophy.
I know. No, this is nice. It is tight. It is really tight. It just kind of grabs your tongue.
The tannins here, this wine will be around for years. This is one of the ones where you buy a case and you put 11 on this one, 12 on the next one, and you drink one a year. And I guarantee you that 12 years from now, you'll still have a great wine.
Wow. And it'll get much more out of it.
It's just, it's tight.
It's not that it's not now, but it's really hard to.
I'll tell you, you take that bottle and you take it home, let it sit on the counter, and have it tomorrow. It's just gonna, everything will open up. It just needs something.
I bet you 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
You could give it the Molly Duker shake. Yeah.
So you've done some time in New Zealand. How long were you there?
I lived there about a year, and then I went back and worked at a custom crush facility in 2007 and made a bunch more wine. Then I was back in 2010. I'm a rubber band.
Going back and forth.
I love New Zealand.
They get a lot of flack for being one great, two if you want to count Pinot Noir.
They make awesome Pinot. I would count Pinot Noir before I count Sauvignon Blanc.
Really?
I mean, they make good Sauvignon, but I think that their Pinots are some of the Pinots in New Zealand are as good as Pinots from America.
But the price jumps.
It's hard to find.
The Sauv Blancs too. The Sauv Blancs. Well, you look down here, and what we've carried, it's 1 to 20-ish. Because there's not many over the top for the price point, big price point. So, but the Sauv Blancs, I like them, I love them. But there's that grassiness, that raw grass.
You just have to understand that's the style.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with it.
It's like Chenin Blanc from Stellenbosch. You know what to expect.
And I don't want their Sauv Blancs to be like our Sauv Blancs.
Right,
I like that whole diversity thing, because that's why I still drink them.
Well, that's why I originally went to New Zealand, was to make Sauv Blanc. Because I like something.
I do too.
Quite a bit. And then I went over there, and every Sauv Blanc to me tasted like every other Sauv Blanc. And I was looking for some distinction. So,
very nice. And so now, what are the plans? Any different wines to produce?
We have some fun wines. We make a dessert wine pair, which I was hoping that you might have. Which is
I haven't
awesome.
tasted that either.
So basically, it's the Mueller Turgau. That is essentially, one is a nice wine and the other is oxidized and fortified like a sherry. Same juice that comes out at the same time, and then it takes two separate paths and sold as a set in these beautiful little bottles.
Really?
And guess what it's called? You could do this.
No, go ahead.
There are two of them.
Yeah, I know.
Two of them. One has a parasol. It's called Jason and Thomas. Actually, it's called Anne Amie.
I thought you were going to go to Mark Turbo.
No. We do that, and then this year, for the very first time ever, we're making sparkling wine.
Are you really?
A couple hundred cases.
So are you?
I love bubbles.
You just guys gonna keep it for?
I think it's, we haven't even made the blend yet.
Really?
It's still sitting in barrels. So, to know what we're gonna do distributing wise, I think we're getting ahead, a little bit ahead. I gotta get it in a bottle. Then we have to let it age for 3 or 4 years.
I love bubbles. It's probably that whole Sauv Blanc thing. So, well, thank you for the hedonistic.
Yep, my pleasure.